Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, if you're alive today, then you are living through a historical moment in the US stock market as the SEC has just recently approved the first US listed exchange traded fund, ETF, that tracks Bitcoin along with 11 others. That's right, 11 others. We're going to be going through the full list in just a few moments here, but talking about the significance of this moment is that now institutional and retail investors can have exposure to Bitcoin and the general crypto market by trading with US regulated stock exchanges, just like trading stocks, having exposure. And the amount of capital that is predicted to come into these ETFs from analysts is pretty astronomical. With that being said, volatility is going to increase. There's going to be a lot of information that does need to be depicted, made sense of, and a lot of research that we need to do. So if you're new to the channel or a returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, popping up here to show you the article, this is what we got from Reuters today a few hours ago, updated here just 5 minutes ago, that the U.S. securities regulator has approved that first U.S. listed stock exchange. Now, Gary Gensler said that in a watershed for the world's largest cryptocurrency in the broader crypto industry. Now, among some of these 11 applications, this is the full list right here. We're going to be breaking this down for you guys, going through each ticker symbol and then giving you guys the full list. So that way you can do your own research. And if you do choose to invest with these ETFs, having a little bit more knowledge base about what is actually behind these ETFs and who's managing them. Big names that are coming into the game. You have Fidelity, very large name that's coming into the game. ARK Investments that we have coming in here, along with many other ones that are going to bring competition and a fierce aggression to the markets. Now, with this, like I said, this is a game changer for Bitcoin. Right now, BTC is trading at 46,000. Basically, could pop 47,000 here in the near future. We'll see what happens. But what we are seeing is that Standard Chartered analysts said this week that these ETFs could draw 50 to 100 billion this year alone, potentially driving the price of Bitcoin to a high of 100,000. Other analysts are saying, hey, this will be about 55 billion over 5 years. Nonetheless, there is a lot of hype and trendiness and emotion behind this actual news and media outlook right now. Now, the ETF approval will further legitimize Bitcoin, especially with the SEC that's been having a battle against crypto, now showing some sign of actual acceptance. And even though, with this being said, in the filings that are going to be coming in, we have Bitcoin that has been increasing in its actual value with anticipation of this milestone. And the reason this is a milestone is because for over a decade, the SEC has rejected Bitcoin funds due to worries that they could be easily manipulated by saying there's fraud and manipulation within the assets themselves, which would manipulate the ETFs. But also right here, this could help pave the way for innovative crypto products and bringing this new technology, what we call blockchain technology, to the table. So let's get down to the actual list of ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs, who's behind them and their outlooks. First of all, there's 11 in total, and they are kind of effectively the same. This article is coming here. This is the source from the actual picture here is Bloomberg, but coming from thestreet.com. Cost is going to be a big one, and expense ratios are going to be a very big key aspect to looking at in terms of these ETFs. Now, with that being said, like I said, essentially they all will hold Bitcoin. They're going to have a relatively same exposure. But who's behind them, the expense ratio, and those are going to be big variables within these actual ETFs. The first one is the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF Trust, BITB. They currently have an expense ratio of 0.2% and currently 0% with a fee waiver. One thing to note is that a lot of these ETFs right now are having promotions of a 0% with a fee waiver because of competitiveness and trying to get capital into these ETF assets. Now, Bitwise, this does not seem as much of a popular name. I agree with that. But BITB, they see here is actually a real dark horse. In talking about that is that they have one of the lowest expense ratios of the bunch at 0.2%. And which, like I said, starts at nothing talking about that is that Bitwise is also a crypto index manager, and crypto is all they do. So they could have a leading competitive, basically knowledge base and a lot more research going into the cryptocurrency market. The second one here is ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. This is ARKB. Expense ratio right now is 0.21%, currently with a 0% fee waiver. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of these 0% fee waivers right now. Cathie Wood, big name in the stock market game, of course, with the ARK Investments, that is really trying to invest into disruptive technologies, aka cryptocurrency is a very big one. Now, Cathie Wood has been involved with Bitcoin for years, and we do know that she utilizes GBTC for exposure in several of the ARK funds. Now, talking about that, the current position looks to be around 80 million we have here, and that would presumably be all move over to ARKB pretty soon. Now, talking about this does follow, I would say, her kind of general sense of investing in these disruptive technologies, and she is one to kind of take that bullish bet on that. A lot of us know Cathie Wood. She's the one that is behind ARKB. Now, talking about that, ARK typically charges 0.75% expense ratios for its funds. So talking about that, at that 0.21% expense ratio, as more money could come in, there could be increases. We'll see what happens. Fidelity, big name in the game. This is the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Trust, FBTC. Expense ratio at 0.25%, currently at 0% with the fee waiver. Now, Fidelity is very, very large. They got the scale, they got the competition, and they got the size. And even though Fidelity isn't a huge player in the cryptocurrency space and even in the ETF space, it does have an immense amount of capital. We're talking trillions amount of assets right here that will leverage that, and even just their name will have a strong leverage against its current and incoming clients. Now, talking about that, Fidelity is a very well recognized money manager in the world that can help attract these different types of assets and allow their clients to have exposure to BTC. So I could see a lot of money personally coming into FBTC just because of the reputation and the size that Fidelity has. Next one is Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Trust, BTCW. They have an expense ratio of 0.3% with a 0% fee waiver. Now, Wisdom Tree has a popular reputation within the ETF marketplace. It's currently number 9 overall in total assets, but the Bitcoin ETF is a little bit off their track record, so they're getting newer into this actual space. Now, talking about that, the company does have ETFs that are covering cybersecurity, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence, but a lot of the US ETF assets here that the street says are currently in broad-based stock and bond ETF. So this is them kind of taking a step outside of their zone, typically. That's what I'm seeing here. Next one is Invesco Galaxy Bitcoin ETF, BTCO. Expense ratio 0.39%, currently with a 0.00% fee waiver. Now, talking about that, Invesco is bigger issuer than Wisdom Tree, and that they have a lot more, basically better chance at picking up some of the assets in their Bitcoin ETF. But not just seeing that a lot, this is a higher expense ratio compared to some of the other ones that we have talked about, but I don't think they should necessarily be completely disregarded from being a reliable or a safe or reputable ETF. Next one, Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie is experienced in trying to bring crypto ETFs to the market. They've been a player in trying to do this with their actual applications. Expense ratio, a little bit higher here at 0.49%. However, their Bitcoin futures ETF is the 4th largest right now, despite it being the 2nd on the market now. So it's understandable that it didn't catch up to BITO, which is another futures one. But what we see here is that Valkyrie has a very big name, and it does attract some of the more modest assets and that stick around for a while. Another one, iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT. Now, 0.25%, and they don't have a 0% fee waiver right now. It's actually at 0.12% with the fee waiver. Now, talking about that, they say here's the easily favored to be the winner in the Bitcoin ETF race. And talking about that, they're like Wisdom Trees. A Bitcoin ETF is a little off brand for BlackRock, but it has such an advantage, size, and scale that it's difficult not to manage this being a resounding success. Now, talking about that, and after all, BlackRock really wants to launch a Bitcoin ETF. They must know something that the rest of the street doesn't. Talking about here and with the issues in the ETF filings, BlackRock is one of the names that's been all over in the news. I can't agree with that more. We've seen BlackRock that's been all over the news regarding crypto assets, and I think IBIT, just because of their involvement with this ETF atmosphere regarding exposure to Bitcoin, I think we could see a lot of attraction to their ETF. Next one here is VanEck Bitcoin Trust. HODL, expense ratio is at 0.25%. You see right here, they actually don't have a fee waiver right now. Now, they're in the same position as Invesco and WisdomTree, and kind of that this is more the middle of the tier of issuers, and also that they might be taking a little bit of a step outside of their comfort zone from what they typically do advertise for their ETFs. Now, talking about that with Franklin Bitcoin ETF, this is EasyBC. Expense ratio right here at 0.29%. And you can see right here, trying to find a path for success. They see the street saying that it's kind of hard to find a path right now and just not finding one. Is that this company is more of an old school asset manager that's probably known better for its mutual fund lineups rather than its ETF ones. So this could be also, like I said, a ETF or a mutual fund manager that is more involved with kind of older type of assets investings, trying to get exposure to this more and new and upcoming type of digital asset atmosphere. You got the next one, Hashdex Bitcoin ETF, DeFi, expense ratio higher here, and that's at 0.9%. Talking about that, you're going to see here as we continue on a grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, expense ratio is 1.5%. Now, this one is interesting because GBTC is obviously converted from a closed-end trust, but talking about that, its trust has $27 billion in assets already. And talking about that, that is like starting a marathon at mile 20 here is what the street says. So they have a big step and a big start in the actual Bitcoin ETF game. Now, the question is, and what the conclusion is right here, are looking at the expense ratios. What kind of ETFs have these companies managed in the past? Have they had other exposures to like mutual funds and things like that? And also, how strong and how much of a player and advocator were they at getting these ETFs basically approved in the first place? I think those are good funds to look at, and at the end of the day, it's going to be making your own decision. But those are the actual ticker symbols for the ETFs that you guys should be looking at. Make sure you do your own research and do not get scammed out there. I'll tell you that, because there's going to be a lot of fake tickers. There's going to be a lot of fake ETFs. There's going to be a lot of fakeness that will come along with this big news, because like I said, this is a historical moment. So make sure you are looking at reputable resources that actually show the real actual ticker symbols, and make sure you can see those ticker symbols on US regulated stock exchanges. Trading can start early as tomorrow, as they say. Big news ahead. We'll keep you guys updated. Peace out. Take care. I'll catch you guys later.